Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So, dolls, this video will be the first of me working on a series of Dollhouse kits. Now, recently I received a massive unboxing or massive gift box of House of Miniature Dollhouse furniture kits, and I will be assembling several of those. But before I start with those, I need to handle something that is right at hand. Miss Betty and Pop got married at Christmas time, and they don't have a bed for their home. Now, that's really, really negligent of me to have newlyweds that don't have a bed. So the top priority of this video is to stain and assemble their bed. Now, in addition to doing their bed, I will be doing at least one nightstand. Now, both of these kits I purchased myself off of eBay, and they're both made by Houseworks, which is the company that makes a lot of the doors and windows for dollhouses. I don't believe they make dollhouse furniture kits anymore, but every once in a while you can snag one on eBay. Now, this is the bed that I intended on using in Pop and Miss Betty's room, but it seems a little bit big for the space. Let me take you to the house and show you what I mean. Now here we are in Pop and Miss Betty's new bedroom, and this is the bed, and like I said, it doesn't look extreme, but it just looks a little bit bulky. Now, as I mentioned, I do want to do the nightstand. I would like a dresser, and I do have this other space here right next to the door that I would like to put something as well, but I don't want the room to be overcrowded. I want it to be full but not crowded. Now, really quick, let me show you the room next door to it, which used to be the office to the dress shop. Now, I've got these lovely items that I've been saving for Miss Betty and Pop, but I've got to show you these beautiful lamps that were gifted to me by Susan from My Mini Madness right here on YouTube. She's got a wonderful channel, and she's so talented. Look at these beautiful little lamps that she sent me. Aren't they beautiful? I can't wait to get everything set up in the house so I can scatter them in the different rooms, because I'm going to use at least 2 in the bedroom, 2 or 3 in the living room. Now, the other items you see are some lovely wedding gifts the dolls received. Now, I did have a couple items here in the room that I wasn't really sure who they came from, and they were from my precious doll, Raggedy Pal. She sent them as a housewarming gift for Pop and Miss Betty, and it was in one of the unboxings where I received a gift that didn't have a name on it. Now, she's the doll that sent me a Raggedy Ann doll and a book about Raggedy Anns. And in this gift, she included a lovely piece of wall decor. I can't wait to stage it in the house. And in addition to all these lovely things that I've set aside for Pop and Miss Betty, there's a gift that I received a while back that was actually included with Sadia and Marguerite's gifts. Now, I think I have one gift here, and I do have a couple other gifts that I never opened. So I'm not going to open it here. I'm going to go take them to the craft table and open them all together. Now, here's a last glance of the lovely items I have set aside. So now let me show you the plans I have for the other essential rooms for the newlyweds. Now, if you've been following me a while, you've seen this bathroom before. It's all cleared out because Aunt Bess and Aunt Janie's things are gone. So now I have a whole nother set of ideas for it now that it's Miss Betty's bathroom. And one of the first things I need to do is get some curtains up to those windows. So curtains for the bathroom and the bedroom, and we're going to need some for the kitchen. Now here's a glance at the kitchen. So you see that I've used that lovely stove that was gifted to me by my precious doll, Carol K. And I've got some cornbread and beans because everybody in the rooming house has cornbread and beans. Now, the sink I bought a little while back, and that ice box in the corner, and that lovely little cabinet sitting next to the stove was also a gift from my precious doll, Carol K. Now, it looks like something she may have been working on, and I'm going to finish it, but I think it's just right and the perfect size to be right next to the stove. Now, I need a back on it, and I need to fill it with some goodies and to put a top on it, but I think it's a good size and it'll fit well among the other things. Now, I will need to make high cabinets or cabinets for the wall over the sink or shelves, and definitely I'm going to have some type of shelving over in that corner above the ice box. So plenty of work to do here. So let's go back to the table. Now, here are some of the precious gifts that were sitting in the living room of Pop and Miss Betty's house when they got home from their honeymoon, and these are absolutely lovely. Now, I do believe these were made for me by Panache Luxury. They're little perfume bottles, and they'll fit in really nicely on Miss Betty's new dresser or her nightstand. I could even put some in the bathroom. Aren't these lovely? So these are right on time, Diana. Thank you. These are very, very pretty, and I'm glad I didn't open them till now because I would have been tempted to put them among Marguerite's things. Now, this other box, I was sure there was something inside, but I think I already took it out. Yeah, this one is empty, so I'm just going to keep it to be a staging piece. And let me open this one. Now, this one was a box that I made, but I tucked the gift inside. So let me unwrap it really quickly. And it kind of feels like it's similar to one of the other items. Oh, this is so cute. It is very similar, but these are like two little brass goblets, like the his and hers glasses that you would use at the wedding reception. So that's perfect. I'll put that among their pretty things in the house. Okay, let me put these back in the box and put them in the house because accessories always make me want to play. So I'm going to put them all together in this box because that'll be the safest place for them until I'm ready to stage things. Okay, so let me clear all this stuff out of the way and go ahead and make the bed. So here is my packet with the bed, and I actually have the bed and the nightstand. And as you know, kits always come with lovely suggestions. Now, dolls, I will follow along so that I make sure that the bed is structurally sound. But after I know it's sturdy and structurally sound, anything could happen. Now, I really love these kits because the suggestions are very straightforward. And although I want to do the bed and the nightstands, I'm going to save the nightstand for another video. So today we're going to focus solely on the bed. And before I begin to assemble the bed, I'm going to go ahead and stain the pieces first in this little aluminum pan. And another thing that's really nice about kits, they include all the extras. So I've got the foam and fabric to do the mattress. Now, although this pink is really pretty, I don't think I'm going to use it to cover the mattress. So let me set it aside so I don't get stain on it. So I really like these little metal pans because they kind of help me keep things contained because dolls, as you know, I have a tendency to be a little free-handed with things. Using the pans allows me to stain my wood right at my table, but then set it aside to dry. So it's not a good practice to sand your pieces into the same container that you're going to stain them in, but it is what I did. Now, dolls, this little sanding tool was gifted to me a couple unboxings ago by Terry V, the same person that gave me all the House of Miniature kits. She sent it to me from Amazon, but it didn't have a note or anything in it. But this is the product and the name of it, and if anyone's interested in getting one, I will leave a link in the description. This is not sponsored video, this is just a great tool. Now that I've gotten all the sanding dust off of everything, let me review my suggestions one more time. Okay, pieces A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got it. So that was just an opportunity for me to do a quick inventory of all the pieces to make sure everything mentioned in the suggestions is present, and it is. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I like to stain my pieces before I assemble things, and it really is a best practice. Because if you assemble it first and you've had any kind of mistakes with your glue, anywhere the glue settled, it'll leave light spots because the stain won't be able to penetrate the wood. Now, if you're painting your piece of furniture, this wouldn't really apply because the paint is going to cover any errors or mistakes with the glue. But if your plan is to use natural wood stain, it's always best to stain the pieces of wood before you use your glue. Now, another thing I would like to recommend is for you to allow your wood stain to dry overnight, which will allow your stain to settle into the wood so you can determine whether you need a second coat. And this would only matter if you like deeper stains, because many times after the stain settles, it gets a lot lighter. But this is how my pieces looked after drying overnight, so I like this hue. Now here I'm just showing you the part where it shows you all the pieces that are included. I've already inventoried everything. Everything is stained and it's dry. So I'm going to start gluing my pieces together. And again, when I'm working with kits, I kind of approach it as if I'm putting together a puzzle, and I consider the instructions, or what I call suggestions, as a handy cheat sheet. Now, I want to point out this wood is a really good quality wood, and it's been cut really precisely. Now, for the most part, I haven't had any instances where any of this wood being warped or anything like that. So the pieces are nice and firm and nice and straight. The wood is solid, which really is a plus when you're assembling kits, because if you're working on a kit and the wood is inferior, you can run into a lot of problems. And you'll end up having to do a lot more work and sanding than with kits where everything is already precision cut. Now this part is sort of like the insert or the support for the mattress, And so I'm assembling it first, and I'm going to give it an opportunity to dry overnight with weights on it to make sure everything stays nice, flat, and level. So while the mattress support is drying, I'm going to go ahead and focus on the body of the bed. Now this is the headboard, and I'm kind of fitting pieces together, doing what I call a dry fit, tri fit to see what goes where. Now this is one of the stretchers, and these are the side panels. So I think I'm going to do both of the sides first to kind of get those pieces out of the way before I focus on the headboard and footboard. And it's 3 pieces, so I think this will be pretty simple. And although this kit is pretty straightforward, I was raised to do the difficult or hard things first. And there's nothing really hard about this kit, but I think putting together the simplest or most obvious components is going to work out better for me, and then put together the ones that are going to take a little bit more thought. And I think it was a good decision because there's one side panel, and now I'm finishing up the second side panel. So that's 6 pieces assembled and drying. So now I can focus on the headboard and the footboard. Now, one thing I thought was a little bit interesting about the headboard and footboard that made me think that I needed to focus a little bit more when I assemble those parts, because if you look closely, you can see that the cuts are angled on these pieces. So that will require a little bit more of my focus. Now, these 2 pieces are pretty obvious, so I'm going to go ahead and glue them together. So I added a little glue to one side and then gently slid them together, being careful to keep everything lined up nice and straight. Now, when you're sliding together pieces like this, make sure none of the glue oozes from underneath, because you don't want your project to end up stuck to your work surface. And be mindful to remove any glue that oozes before you leave it to dry. So now let's go ahead and get this headboard and footboard assembled. Now, again, I'm showing you these angled pieces, and I've added glue to them. And I'm putting it together with my side panels. So I'm going to go ahead here. I've got it lined up, and I'm just sliding it right up to it the way I did with a lot of the other pieces. Sliding it together to me works really well to keep things level, because I kind of use my work surface as my guide. Now, while I give that an opportunity to dry, let's go back and check on the base for the mattress. So this is a perfect example of how when you think you did everything right, something still goes wrong. That one corner didn't lock down, so I had to pop it apart and add more glue. And I'm going to add a clothespin to clamp it down so that it dries flat. And dolls, it's things just like that that have historically contributed to my tendency of excessive glue use. So it looks like the frame of the bed has dried solid, and I feel like it's looking good and it's sturdy enough for me to handle. And I think that little corner piece that I repaired is solid enough. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the base for the mattress into the bed frame so the entire structure will be stronger. Now here I'm just doing a really quick dry fit, tri fit, and everything fit in perfectly. So that makes me feel good because I know the structure itself is square and balanced because everything fit in nicely. Now there are little notches on the corners where the legs go, and I'm going to have to blend them down a little bit because they're wider than the opening. Now, although this is inconvenient, it's not a problem. All you need to do is shave down that side to make the body of the notched piece a little bit narrower. So this is nothing to panic about. Things like this happen occasionally with kits, that things were milled a centimeter or so off. You just want to sand it a little bit just to sand it down smooth enough to fit into that notch. Now you want to make sure you use really fine sandpaper, and sawing back and forth like that is really not good. You should go in one direction. But I got it down enough where it fits and there's still quite a bit of tension, which is what I want. And now I'm going to pop it back out and add my glue. Now, when you're adding the glue, you want to add it to the sides and to the top, or whatever parts of the leg that are going to touch other wood, because you want it to be a solid bond. Now, you can see I didn't put it on that outward facing part because I didn't want it to ooze and be obvious when the piece is finished. Okay, so now all the legs are glued in and the support for the mattress has been assembled. Let's see what it looks like all together with the pieces that were included in the kit. Now, this is a little cardboard piece that the mattress is supposed to rest on. Now, here's my unfinished mattress, which was the foam that was included in the kit. So the fact that everything fits together neatly makes me know that I assembled everything right. So now I'm going to take this bed over to the dollhouse and see how it looks in Pop and Miss Betty's new bedroom. Now here we are back in the room, and that's the bed I originally intended that I showed you earlier. And look how much smaller the bed that I just assembled is. I think the bed that I was previously going to use is more of a king size, and I think the one I just created is what a queen size would be. And I really think the proportion of this bed really fits the room a lot better. And I am going to make the headboard a little bit more dramatic. And quite naturally, I have to add the pillows and the linen and everything. So I'm just comparing the bed to a twin size bed or a single bed. So I believe mine would be considered a double. Now, I do have to dress the bed. Now, I'm not going to do the dressing in this video, so you can look forward to that in the upcoming video. But I just want to try out this linen that the dolls received as a wedding gift. Now, this is beautiful. It's 2 pillows, and it actually appears to be a sheet and a comforter. So I'm going to incorporate that into whatever I create. So I'm just trying out the pillows, and it kind of looks like the pillows hang off a little bit. But when I really look at it closely, the pillows aren't even the same size. One pillow appears to be a little bit smaller than the other one. Look at that. One is fuller and more narrow. It almost looks as though it's supposed to be for a single bed, but let's see. I'm just going to pull this out, and this is the sheet, and I guess that's the comforter. So as I promised earlier, I will do the nightstands, and then I'll do a part 2 for dressing this bed. So yeah, I'm going to set all this aside along with all the things that I want to use for trims and finishing for this bed. Now, dolls, really quick before I let you go, I want to remind some and introduce to others that Little Gretchen's Workshop now has an eBay store. So I want to give you a few highlights of some of the things that I have available. Now, if this is your first time watching and you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe and always hit the notification bell so you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video. And let me know in the comments what you like most about this video, because I absolutely love creating content for you dolls. And I'm so excited. I've got so many things I want to share with you. So let me get back to my table and get on with my work. And until next time, I'm looking forward to seeing you right here on Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.